Do you know the story of David and Goliath? If not, let me tell it to you. In the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 17, we read about a young shepherd boy by the name of David. Now David's older brother Eliab was a warrior in King Saul's army who was fighting against the Philistines. One day, while David was bringing food to his brother and his friends, he heard the Philistines taunting and challenging the Israelites to send out a warrior to fight them. And whoever was brave enough to fight the Philistine champion, Goliath, who would be the one to come out and fight against him. Day after day, this went on for 40 days. And all the Israelites were afraid, for Goliath was a giant of a man, being over 6 and 2 feet tall. He was covered all over with bronze armor weighing more than 5,000 shekels, almost 125 pounds. Not only that, but he had a helmet of bronze on his head, and a shield and a spear. And the spear shaft alone weighed about 200 shekels, or 3 pounds. So, needless to say, the Israelites were afraid to fight against this giant warrior. They could not even get close to him, because he would simply take his spear and try to pierce them, or he would cut them up with his sword and with his axe. And so no one would even volunteer to fight against him until one day, shepherd David came. Now, when King Saul heard Goliath challenging the Israelites every day, he became very upset. And when he went out to the battlements, he saw the men of Israel and Judah afraid and running away from the Philistines. And when he inquired, he learned that they were afraid of the giant Goliath. Then King Saul said to his men, "Who will go and fight against the Philistine? Whoever is brave enough to kill him, I will give him both his daughters hand in marriage and 1,000 pieces of gold." But after hearing this, none of the men volunteered to fight against the giant. So then David came to King Saul and said, "Why does the Philistine get to keep taunting the armies of the living God? I can't stand it. Please let me go and fight him." But King Saul replied, "You are just a boy, and how could you go and fight against this man? You aren't even a warrior, and besides, you're not even old enough to go into battle." But David said to the king, "Your servant has been a shepherd and has dealt with both sheep and goats. And if there is a lion or a bear that comes and carries off a sheep from the flock, I go after him and attack him and snatch it right out of his mouth. And if he happens to hate me and comes after me, I will catch him in his tracks." Then David said, "This Philistine is no different." And David asked King Saul if he could have some armor. So Saul had his armor bearer get armor for David. It consisted of a bronze helmet, and he put it on David's head. And he also gave him a coat of mail, but David was uncomfortable in it, so he took it off again. And David was just in his regular clothes, which was a shepherd's tunic. So he adjusted his garment and tied his staff in place of a sword and slung 5 smooth stones into his shepherdess bag. And he left and ran to meet the Philistine. When Goliath saw David, he mocked him and cursed him, saying, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" But David repeated what he told King Saul, that he would be given in marriage to his daughter and 1,000 pieces of gold. And David said, "Today the Lord will deliver you into my hands. I will defeat you and strike you down and cut off your head. Then I will give your body to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field. And all the earth will know that the Lord saves not by sword or spear, but by his own name." When Goliath continued to mock him and to curse him, David did not answer. And so Goliath came rushing toward David. He was trying to get close enough to impale him with his spear. But David dodged and moved out of the way quickly. And when Goliath was almost close enough to reach David, David reached out and threw a stone from his sling, striking the giant Goliath right between the eyes. And amazingly, the stone stuck right in his forehead, causing him to fall to the ground like a giant crashing to the earth. And David ran to him. As the giant was still breathing, David pulled out his sword and plunged it into the side of the giant's neck, killing him instantly. Then he cut off his head with the same sword, and the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, and they began to flee. The Israelite army chased after them and defeated them, and everyone celebrated. They celebrated David because he had delivered Israel. And afterward, David became a great hero of Israel. What about you? What do you think about Shepherd David defeating the giant Goliath? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, God is greater than any giant in our lives.